Hello, it's Lance Osborne, and you know the drill by now. Here on the FabFourArchivist channel, we dig into all things about and surrounding the biggest band in the world, the Beatles. And every couple of weeks or so, we cover the latest in Beatles news. Because yeah, even though they broke up 5 decades ago, they're still making headlines. Let's jump in, 3 big stories this week. How about some Paul solo news? As I first mentioned, Without a Beard way back in August of 2019, it looks like a reissue of McCartney's Flaming Pie is on the way. First reports had it coming out by the end of that year, but that seemed doubtful even then, with all the other Beatles and solo releases at the time. Now details have come out, including a July 2020 release date, and it looks like we'll see the full-blown, super deluxe box set treatment with 5 CDs and 2 DVDs. Now 5 CDs sounds like a lot, but if you were a fan when Flaming Pie first came out, you might recall just how many promos and demos and B-sides and alternate versions there were floating around. Ubu Jubu, Paul's radio show, was also active around this time. At the Macca News website, there's some good speculation about specific tracks that might be released, so check that out if you're so inclined. Previous archive releases have been mostly well received, but to many fans, I think Flaming Pie still feels like a new album. It was Paul's first after the Beatles anthology, and that marked a new era for him in my opinion. So repurchasing what feels like a recent album may feel a bit odd, but let's face it, people who were born when this album was released have now graduated college. I know I'll be buying it, but I also know folks who are holding onto their cash until something like Back to the Egg sees a similar re-release. Next up, the new Get Back book. As previously discussed here on the channel, both in some news segments and my series on the Beatles Rooftop Gig, work is underway on a project to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the band's Let It Be album and film. There have been no official updates since January of 2019 when the project was first announced. That announcement indicated that a restored version of the film would be released alongside a new documentary of the period, helmed by Peter Jackson. But there was no timeline for any of these releases. See a link in the description if you want to catch up on that news. But now there's news, first reported by Roger Stormo's excellent Beatles news site, that a new hardcover book associated with the project is listed on Amazon. The product is still live at this moment and only includes the title Get Back, The Beatles, and a release date of October 15th, 2020. And a quick side note, Get Back and Let It Be were preliminary and final titles for the projects of this era and are used somewhat interchangeably. The publisher, Callaway Arts and Entertainment, is also listed over at Amazon, and when contacted, the publisher responded with this. The Beatles Get Back is the authorized story of the making of the Let It Be album and the Beatles breakup, told through exclusive photographs, transcripts of the recording sessions, and an essay by Hanif Kureishi. The book will be the companion to the film directed by Peter Jackson, both released next fall. Kureishi is a famed British filmmaker and writer, but in the Beatles world, he's probably best known for his 1991 essay on the band, How the Beatles Changed Britain. Note that the book is already ranked at number 85 in the rock music category. Let me know if you see any new or updated info when you visit. So, I mentioned Paul McCartney's radio show a moment ago, and now a heads up about somebody else's. I will be on Michael Shelley's show on WFMU Radio on Saturday, January 18th, and we'll be discussing the Bernard Purdie thing, his claims about drumming on Beatles records, which most viewers of this channel will already be pretty well versed in. And if not, check out the link at the top of the screen right now. If you're in the New York metro area, you can listen to the show on terrestrial radio, and for everybody else, there's a live stream over at WFMU.org. Tune in at 11 a.m. Eastern to hear it live, or Michael will post the archived version to his site later. All right, one last story for this episode of Beatles News. Since this is my first news video of the 2020s, let's look back a bit to the 2010s. It's no secret that vinyl sales were way up, especially toward the latter part of the decade. In 2019, 26% of all physical albums were sold this way, instead of the medium being supported mostly by DJs and middle-aged white dudes who constantly sing its praises of analog warmth. New consumers, young millennials, and now Zoomers are enjoying its fidelity and the massive artwork that a 33 1/3 record has to offer. Vinyl sales in the US also, for instance, have increased 14 years in a row. So what's everybody buying? In 2019, the Beatles were the #1 selling act on vinyl, and in the US, the #1 record for the decade was Abbey Road. It tops the list of sales in the 2010s with more than 558,000 copies moved. Again, that's just the vinyl format, no CDs or streams in that number. The Beatles weren't the only legacy act on the top 10 list, of course, with Pink Floyd, Fleetwood Mac, and Michael Jackson also making appearances. The only new music that was on the top 10 list was Lana Del Rey's Born to Die from 2012. Things look a little different in the UK, with Fleetwood Mac's Rumours taking the top spot, and newer music like Amy Winehouse and Arctic Monkeys also making appearances. Now, Abbey Road is not on this list, but Sgt. Pepper is. It came in at number 8. Big picture, I don't know if this is a referendum on new versus old music. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments, but only if you try to look at this stuff impartially. Yeah, the Beatles were the greatest. I get it. But especially for you folks who came of age with classic rock, please remember that every generation is partial to the music that they grew up with. Personally, I'm nearly one of those middle-aged white dudes, and I do enjoy vinyl, but also stream quite a bit. And newer albums, for the most part, are here today, gone tomorrow. The music is fun, but it's soon replaced with even newer tunes. And I tend to buy mostly only timeless stuff on vinyl. And for me, the newest stuff that I've bought this way is by some local acts and Adele, who I'm surprised wasn't on these top 10 lists. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and please hit that like button if you enjoyed these updates. If you want to check out more recent Beatles news, hit the playlist at the top right of the screen now. All right, see y'all next time.